All right. Howdy, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello, how's it going? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one. Another live one, as a matter of fact. New West Reset Live, episode 116 here today on this Sunday, May 4th, 2025. That's why I got my R2 unit right here, co-piloting the show with me here today. It's May the 4th, eh? So may the 4th be with you. I don't know. Thanks for joining me here. As mentioned, Sunday, just a little bit past 5 p.m. local time. That's mountain time, don't you know? And as always, we're coming at you live from Calgary, southern Alberta, up in Canada land. Purdy, Alberta. Kind of so today. Currently plus 10 Celsius. It's around 50-ish, 52 or something. Fahrenheit. Not the best. Not the best. Have some rain that's supposed to be blowing in. It's been windy. Could be worse. Could be minus 30 and snow. So there you go. Silver lining time. So thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. So for the show today, we're going to be looking at old world in music. Just going to have a look at some hints that we might be given here from, stuff that was going on in the past, but rather looking at photographs, which, don't get me wrong, it's great. Don't get me wrong here. I love looking at old photos. I love the old films and videos from, 100 plus years ago as well. But music, if you're no stranger to the channel, it should be no big surprise to you. Music's a big thing with me. I use a lot of music here on the channel, a lot of Canadian music, but just good music in general. 70s rock, some blues, blues rock. The three, the three essential musical genres: blues, rock, and blues rock. I kid, sort of. I may have made mention that I've got a pretty big blues. Well, I have a pretty big vinyl record collection, over 1,000, which is insane. But anyways, it's a passion. We'll call it a passion. About 800 of those 1,000 records are blues albums, or 78 RPM shellac platters like this one here, right? But I've only got a couple dozen of those. The rest is all LPs, right? So blues as a recorded genre on records, and later on, of course, cassettes, CDs, digital formats, which are all inferior to vinyl, in my opinion. But anyways, they really started recording, like they got the technology figured out. You got pretty decent recordings in the 20s, about 100 years ago. And I've got some of that stuff in my collection, so I thought we'd look at that just to kind of, travel back 100 years and hear about what events, hear about events that were happening as they happened kind of at that time, right? Because there's really two kinds of blues, right? There's the sort of listening to it blues passively in the sense that the lyrics aren't that deep, right? It's good time party music blues, or it's much like country music. It's my woman done left me blues, or I'm hooked on the whiskey blues, that kind of thing. I'm moving up to Chicago kind of blues. Or there's the current events type of blues. What was going on in the 20s when these artists were recording, or in the 30s and 40s, 50s, and so on. And that's what we're going to be looking at, is approximately, give or take, 100 years ago. So I thought that would be interesting. So links below for, a couple of different artists that we're going to be looking at. Speaking of links below, New West Reset location map, courtesy Cousin Vinny. It's down there as well. Guys, social media links and whatnot. Email, MeWe, my BitChute, and of course, over on the Bumble, the Green Fighting platform, because we're always broadcasting simultaneously both on the HooTubes and on the Bumble. So, howdy to everybody on both. Good to see you. If you haven't, consider giving a guy one of these if you haven't already. Appreciate it. Thanks to all of you who've already shared and subscribed. And howdy. And thank you for all your support to all of you that are kind of watching this after the fact, after the live. So I figured what we do for the show here is we'll look at some of the links, the Wikipedias and so on for a couple of artists that I've pulled from my collection that I kind of want to spotlight. And then we'll do a mid-show break, give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage, which will be blues related. And I'll bringing it back home. No, not bringing it on back home to Mississippi because I ain't from there. Bringing it on back home here to Calgary with a video about the old estate homes and mansions in Mount Royal here in Calgary from about 100 years ago. Actually, there you go. That's a good link. Mount Royal used to be called American Hill. So it's all coming. Life is like a circle. Nice bookending on there. Anyways, and then we'll come back after the mid-show break and we'll give a listen to a couple of songs and maybe talk a little bit more about one artist in particular that I want to kind of spotlight because he really tells stories of the day, current events of what was going on, especially in the South, obviously, with this artist being a blues artist. Not that all blues artists were based out of the South. There was blues artists in the West Coast and up in the northern states like Illinois and New York and so on and so on. But generally speaking. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. Like I said, if you haven't already, maybe give a guy one of those. It just helps to push me out into the thing. So we make our way to 2,000 subscribers. Thanks to all of your support. And before we even get any further along here, let's say howdy in the box, in the chat. Say hello. Let me know how you're doing. See who's here, eh? There's a bunch of you in here already. So, thanks. Welcome. How's it going? Hippie's here. Hippie Shake in the box. Moderator extraordinaire. Good to see you, Hippie. Kathy Broughton is here as well. Good to see you, Kathy. Howdy, howdy. Stephanie Babylon Fox. Babylon. Good to see you. Hello, hello. How's it going, eh? Title's here. Hey! Hey, you! No, that guy. Yeah, you. Title's over here. Good to see you, Title. How's it going? Eric's here. Old World, Underworld. No, that's not Eric. That's Vaughn. Getting confussed and confused. Baffled and befuddled and bewildered. Yes, excuse me. Sorry about that. Hello. Good to see you. It's already gone off the rails. Already. Channel 53 is here. Hello. How's it going? Hey, there's Hippie over on the Bumble. Thank you very much, Hippie. Appreciate it. Hello again to everybody on the Bumble. Good to see you. Wiley's here. Shooting in from Montana. Good to see you, Wiley. Ubucon from Missouri. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Yeah, a lot of blues in Missouri as well. It's not just Mississippi. It's Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Texas. You name it, man. You name it. Water the Tree. Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for joining, eh? So yeah, the blues, man. It's kind of my thing. Curtis says, I've never heard music. Well, get ready to feast your ears. Can't really say feast your eyes. Feast your ear balls. We'll have a listen to some stuff. Baja's in the box. Hello. Better be playing some Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. Well, it's from 100 years ago, so it's a little bit before that. But a guy that was a huge influence on Chester Arthur Burnett, the Howlin' Wolf. Ooh. Yes, the Howlin' Wolf. My favorite, actually. My favorite bluesman was the Howlin' Wolf. We're going to be looking at Mr. Charlie Patton amongst a couple of other blues men and ladies. Blues ladies, blues women. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Links below as mentioned for everything. And yeah, what are we at here? Episode 116. New West Reset Live. So thanks for joining me here on this Sunday fun day, eh? Woo! 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 Pine Top Perkins, yes. Pianist, blues pianist extraordinaire. You know. Speaking of Muddy Waters, Pine Top played with the Mud. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Let's get this shenanigans on the road here. So it's yeah, blues is a big thing for me. It's a huge passion of mine. Hi ho, Sherry Ives. Hello, howdy. Channel 53 says I like grumpy style of Junior Kimbrough. Yes, yeah, that's sort of hill country blues. Like what's his name there? What's his name? You know the guy. You know, it's so vague. You know, old what's his name? While he says there's like millions of blues artists, it's prolific. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're well. Yeah, especially, you know, if you count, you know, Eric Clapton and, you know, guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan as blues artists, you know, whether it's blues rock, whatever. But also some jazz is very bluesy, right? And then there's some ragtime, which is very bluesy. So if you count that kind of stuff, it's, yeah, there's so many. And it goes back pretty far. I mean, it's, you know, they started recording it, you know, like I said, as early as sort of the early 20s, but really got going in the mid 20s, 24, 25, 26, roughly 100 years ago. You know, and by then, I mean, these artists were, I mean, they were singing songs that were, you know, decades old and also writing or re-recording, you know, new songs or other people's songs as well. So some of them were singing sort of proto blues songs. They weren't really blues songs. They were the precursor to blues. But yeah, anyways, my collection is kind of what started this whole thing. I've been kind of wanting to talk about this for a while. But, you know, guys like, you know, Blind Blake, this is from my collection here, 1926 to 1930. I think he was a Florida bluesman, if I'm not mistaken, either Florida or Georgia. Can't quite recall off the top of my head. Doesn't matter. But, you know, recorded hundreds of songs, you know, because recorded solos where he sang and accompanied himself on the guitar, but then recorded stuff where he was basically a studio or a session guy, but also did duets or duos as well. So yeah, Blind Blake, excellent guitar player. Played I believe he played a 12-string guitar as well. So, you know, a lot of his content was, well, it was kind of a mix of both types of blues, where it was like party blues or you just passively sit and listen blues, you know. And it was usually sort of sexually charged, you know, double entendre type of blues. Some of it was for dancing, but some of it was just for kicking back and chilling. But he also recorded some blues that was sort of that, what we would call now history on records, right? History in the songs, in the lyrics. But at the time, it was just sort of current events of what was going on. either locally or regionally or even within the country. They'd sing about elections or presidents or all kinds of stuff, right? Ma Rainey, too. This is a cool Ma Rainey. This is actually a gatefold 2 album set, 2 record set. Opens up like that. So you get 2 vinyl records inside there, eh? And yeah, she did, again, a lot of the same sort of thing, 2 sort of styles or the 2 types of blues. She did a lot of the body stuff, though, because she came out of the whole vaudeville um, sort of angle, as opposed to being, a traveling blues performer that did some farming and did a little bit of, playing in juke joints and playing on street corners for what they called get backs, some loose change. Maybe play a juke joint for, a free dinner and a couple of drinks. But Ma Rainey came out of the vaudeville end of it. So she was already kind of a polished professional by the time she started recording. A lot of what we consider the blues greats from, the 1920s and even the 30s weren't necessarily professionals. They were highly skilled amateurs, but they were, some of the time they would be farmers and other times they would be blues performers. Ma Rainey also did the traveling medicine shows and tent show stuff. So she was used to traveling long distances on train. Whereas the rambling sort of wandering bluesman or blueswoman, if they wanted to catch a train, they would have to literally hop the train and hobo it, right? Cousin Vinny, there he is. Good to see you, Vincent. Cousin Vinny over here. Good to see you, bud.
So, Tommy, where have you been, huh? I've been watching Newest Reset. Huh? Oh, it's Newest Reset. It's just thing on YouTube. He goes around, he does his boots on the ground thing. I'll tell you.
Cousin Vinny and Frankie Fingers over here, huh? So yeah, a lot of nice shout outs in the chat, by the way, I'm noticing. Blind Boy Fuller, yep. Excellent. Yes, Big Bill, another one of my favorites, Big Bill Brunzi. And one guy that I'm kind of a big fan of too, and this guy, he's most special is Leadbelly. Hoodie Ledbetter, better known as Leadbelly. But he didn't really sing, party songs, dance songs. Pretty much all of his songs were about current events, kind of maybe even the precursor to protest songs, before Pete Seeger and Bob Dylan and all them. It was Leadbelly. Leadbelly did it. He sang older songs too. He didn't even consider himself a bluesman. I think he called himself a musicianer, like a songster, because he sang work songs and railroad songs, all that stuff. Songs that were already, when he was recording them in the 20s, 30s, 40s, were, some of them were from the 1880s, 1890s. Songs that he learned from elder musicians in his community. So yeah, this is actually an LP, a 33 1/3, but it's a 10-inch instead of a 12-inch. And this was a memorial release, 1950, of his early works. So I think it was the year after he died. So this is released in 50 or 51 or something like that. But yeah, tons of his lyrics had all kinds of stuff, political stuff, natural disasters, floods, famines, railroad stuff, huge projects, like, all kinds of stuff, like building the Hoover Dam or something, like you name it. A lot of these guys would sing about it, because unfortunately, the Black community, the African American community in the South, they didn't exactly have a high literacy rate. So, they're not reading the newspapers. They're getting their news from, the grapevine and from people in their community. And they're getting, a broader, more regional or again, national news or even international news through media. So, if you didn't have electric and you didn't have a radio, maybe your neighbors had, a Victrola, a wind-up record player. Find out what's going on through the music. So one guy that kind of encompasses all of that, at least for me, and he's my favorite, I'm going to focus kind of mostly on this guy for the show, is Mr. Charlie Patton. So he was a teacher of many other blues musicians, such as Son House, the aforementioned Howlin' Wolf, and many others. And he was sort of a traveling bluesman, and he was really a professional by sort of the midpoint of his career. But not a professional in the sense that, he bought himself a nice house and a car, and he had organized tours around, and, he would schedule recording sessions and put out records. No. Professional in the sense that he was, a hardworking guy, and he played a lot of the country because he was, again, performing enough and well-known enough and good that, like, as his reputation preceded him, and good enough as a musician and singer to where he didn't have to work. He didn't have to be a part-time farmer. But he still kind of led that life where he would hobo around and travel around and hitch rides and stuff. Dockery's plantation, Dockery's farm was his sort of his home base, but he didn't actually live there. He didn't actually live anywhere. But he was, for all intents and purposes, a professional musician. Now, he was one of the best sellers for the record label. Everybody heard of Charlie Patton. And his songs were about all kinds of stuff. Again, about sort of locally and regional stuff, but a lot of countrywide or national news, if you will, as well. But he'd sing about a particular sheriff in a particular county, in Mississippi or Louisiana or Alabama or something. A lot of people may have heard of that person through reputation. He'd sing about certain events, certain disasters. He didn't do a lot of railroad songs, but he sang some. He was basically the Walter Cronkite of the Black Southern community when it came to getting their news. He sang it and he played real good guitar. Is basically what it boils down to. Vaughn says, I like Harlem jazz. Duke Ellington's pretty classy. Oh, yeah, the Duke. I like the Duke too, man, for sure. Wiley Metz says, most copied artist of 20th century, Leadbelly. Oh, yeah, everybody's covered Leadbelly. House of the Rising Sun, the Animals, right? The House of New Orleans. CCR did a whole bunch. Whole bunch of Leadbelly. Leadbelly did it. Yeah, just like blues, there was all kinds of subgenres and styles, right? These artists would share licks and techniques and stuff they learned from other artists or from playing in different bands, playing for Duke Ellington's band or playing for, Fats Waller or whoever. Louis Armstrong, he's played with a whole bunch of people. Charlie Christian, the guitarist, played with, these guys used to play on like paddle boat, riverboat, like steamboat, gambling boat things. Did I say boat enough? But I'm getting at. Yeah, blues, jazz, considered devil's music. Rock and roll was considered devil's music. Anything that, I'm sure Mozart was thought of as devil's music. Anything that shook up tradition. It's the devil. right? Maybe there's something to it. Ms. Grandma in the box. Howdy. Welcome. To see you. But yeah, all them subgenres, right? New Orleans jazz, Kansas City, Chicago. Yep, same with blues, right? You had the Delta blues, the Hill Country blues, Mississippi blues in general. You had the East Coast blues, the West Coast blues, Chicago blues. You had the Detroit blues, St. Louis blues, Kansas City blues, Harlem blues. Goes on and on. So let's take a look at a few of these folks here. Let's start with this Blind Blake guy. Let's see what the Wikipedia says. Let's see what's I mean, obviously, you know, from the guy's name, chances are he's probably visually impaired. So yeah, Blind Blake, Arthur Blake, born December 1st, 1896. Oh no, he was just born sometime in 1896, and he passed December 1st, 1934. Oof. Known as Blind Blake, he was an American blues and ragtime singer and guitarist. He's known for his recordings he made with Paramount Records between 1926 and 1932. Here's a picture of Mississippi Fred McDowell there that pops up when you hover over that. That's cool. I like him. Speaking of hill country style blues. So little is known of Blake's life. Promotional materials from Paramount Records indicate he was born blind and gave his birthplace as Jacksonville, Florida. And it seemed that he lived there during various periods. He may have had relatives in Patterson, Georgia. Some authors have written that in one recording he slipped into Geechee or Gula dialect, suggesting a connection with the Sea Islands. Blind Willie McTell indicated that Blake's real name was Arthur Phelps. But later research has shown this is unlikely to be correct. All right. We'll jump ahead to his career. He recorded about 80 tracks, so 80 sides, so 40 records, because the old shellac platters, like this one in the background, you just had one song on each side, right? It wasn't until the long play 33 and a thirds came out in the late 40s, early 50s-ish. That you give more than one song on a side. Anyways, he recorded 80 tracks for Paramount from 26 to 32. He's one of the most accomplished guitarists of his genre and played a diverse range of material. He's best known for his distinctive guitar playing, which is comparable in sound and style to ragtime piano. Yeah, a lot of bounce and jump to it, and a lot of complicated fingering. Pardon. Take it easy. He may have lived in Jacksonville, going to Chicago for his recording sessions. According to Vander Took, he returned to Florida for the winter. In the 30s, he was reported to be playing in front of a Jacksonville hotel. So his first recordings in 1926, 100 years ago, basically. His records sold well. His first solo record was Early Morning Blues with West Coast Blues on the B-side. Both are considered excellent examples of his ragtime-based guitar style, which were prototypes for burgeoning Piedmont blues. Yes, like Mississippi John Hurt. Or Skip James. Old Skippy! You know, the very intricate fingering. I'm not a guitar player, so I don't know the terms. I'm a harmonica player, so... Blake made his last recordings in 32. His career ended when Paramount went bankrupt. Great. Actually, he also used to sing in a really high-pitched voice, so he kind of sounded like a lady. But he had sort of a higher lilting voice anyways, kind of like Robert Johnson, 10 or so years later. Jesse Nix in the box. Hello, hello. Good to see you. So for his personal life, he married Beatrice McGee in around 1931. In the following year, he made his final recording at the Paramount headquarters in Grafton, Wisconsin, just before the label went out of business. Anyways, and then they give a list of compilation albums that his songs appear on. Again, he did some session stuff, and he did some duos and duets with male and female singers and other guitarists and pianists, banjo players, all that good stuff. So, yeah, Blind Blake, Arthur Blake. So, yeah, check him out. Get a chance. If you're not familiar, I mentioned Ma Rainey, and she has a very interesting background and career. I did touch on the fact, the tent shows, medicine shows, vaudeville, and so on. A lot of them did, though. Lonnie Johnson, no relation to Robert Johnson. He did vaudeville and stuff as well, too. But he also played, the highfalutin big band type of bluesy jazz stuff. The Count Basie, the Ellington type stuff. Just like Charlie Christian. But he also played the gambling boats and river boats that would go up and down the Mississippi River. Playing barrel houses and juke joints. And same as Ma Rainey. She'd play in these dirty, rotten, dingy country juke joints, but then she'd play in these classy, big city music halls, I guess. Or, maybe they were opera houses before they all burnt down, that is. So anyways, Ma Rainey, Gertrude Ma Rainey, born Gertrude Pridgett, April 26th, 1886, and passed December 22nd, the summer or the winter solstice, 1939. She didn't really live that long either. She was an American blues singer and influential early blues recording artist, dubbed the Mother of the Blues. She bridged earlier vaudeville, an authentic expression of Southern blues, influencing a generation of blues singers. Rainey was known for her powerful vocal abilities, energetic disposition, majestic phrasing, and a moaning style of singing. Yeah, the sort of discordant kind of, maybe at the beginning of a phrase, like, oh, my man done left me. That kind of stuff. It's called moaning. If you do it in a higher voice, then it's crying. Right? Except for the Howlin' Wolf. He did a howl. That's right. Howlin' Wolf did a howl. Anyways, went off on a weirdo tangent there. Moaning. Her qualities are present and most evident by her early recordings of Boll Weevil blues and Moonshine blues. I guess that's a boll weevil, not bow weevil, but southern drawl, southern slang, boll weevil, Mr. Boll Weevil. Gertrude Pridgett began performing as a teenager and became known as Ma Rainey after her marriage to Will Pa Rainey in 1904. They toured with the Rabbitfoot Minstrels. Oh yes, minstrel shows. And later formed their own group, Rainey and Rainey Assassinators of the Blues. Wow, it's very aggressive. Her first recording was made in 1923. Following 5 years, she made over 100 recordings. That's 50 records, including Boll Weevil Blues, 1923, Moonshine Blues, 23, CC Rider, that's her big one. It's like Elvis, oh, see her, oh, see what you have done. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that song. 1925. I'm a terrible singer. I'm sorry that I'm subjecting all of you to all this. The blues standard Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Yeah, they made a movie about that. It wasn't too bad. I would recommend it if you're a blues fan. And Soon This Morning, 1927. Columbus, Georgia, right on Alabama line, says Channel 53. Jesse's wondering if they had blues music before the last reset. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's some of the stuff Leadbelly was singing, because he made up his own songs, but he also recorded older styles of songs that were sort of pre or proto blues, right? And I'm not just talking work songs and chain gang songs or railroad songs, but just what would have been called pop tunes or popular songs, in the 1880s, 1870s. And these songs are just passed down from musician to musician, or for your uncle who played piano taught you to play it, or your granddaddy who played banjo taught you to play it, or whatever, and it gets passed down. And that a lot of Leadbelly's repertoire was that, and also learning songs from other musicians, because he did a lot of heavy touring around. He got pretty famous. He went from Louisiana all the way up to New York City. So, pretty good for old Hoodie Leadbelly. Ms. Grandma, Frankie, you a vocalist? The guys from Big Sugar? I am not a vocalist. And I do not know the guys from Big Sugar. I've seen them, and I've, talked to them after the show, the autograph signing, and shake his hand, and oh man, that was a hell of a show, man. I'm a big fan of the band. I use a lot of their music there on the channel. I think Gordy Johnson is a great guitarist. Turtle says, I was named after that song, CC Ryder. Ah, CC. Blues being reset music makes sense. Well, especially what we're about to get into here shortly with Mr. Charlie Patton. But overall, yeah, again, there's two different kinds of types of blues, right? Again, you dance to it, party to it, make love to it, or even just passively listen to it type of blues. That's generally double entendre, sexually charged blues music, or hokum, or ragtime. Let me put my banana in your fruit basket, or, the body stuff, right? But also the boogie-woogie phrasings on piano or guitar, to make it danceable, shuffle rhythms and stuff too. But then the other type of blues is, again, that current events, what's going on in your county, in your region, or in your state, or in that section of the United States, So, it's possible. Obviously, any song that's passed down generation to generation is going to be pre-reset. That's right, Stephanie. But Babylon Fox and the blues, that's the news. That's right. Blues is the truth, right? Who said that? That was Willie Dixon that said that, I think. The blues is the truth. There you go. My banana in your fruit basket is Sherry Ives' new password, everybody. Quick. Get on the dark web. No, don't do that. Don't do that. She uses a good VPN. She's fine. She's fine. That's cool, Frankie. It's a small circle of music around Berta. Everybody knows everyone. Yeah. I used to be a little bit more involved in the local music scene. I have performed, sort of amateur, invited up on stage for a couple of gigs at a couple of different venues, small venues. A juke joint, actually, that used to be, it's now unfortunately shut down, but used to be just a couple of blocks from me, called Mikey's Juke Joint. Sat in with a local band there. There's another place that's in Inglewood. They've since moved out of Inglewood, so it's shut down in Inglewood now too, unfortunately. It's still around, just moved. Called The Blues Can. But I've, that's just kind of sitting in with a, band with, maybe a couple hundred people in the juke joint or whatever. That's fine. But didn't really get to know any professional musicians per se. Maybe, guys that have recorded. They're local guys, like Calgary guys. I know a couple, that have put out a couple of albums. But nothing to the level of Big Sugar or Tragically Hip or any of these other huge Canadian bands. I wish. But Big Sugar, they're a great band to see live. Gordy's great with the crowd, and the whole band really knows how to play up the crowd. Rest in peace, their bass player. I can't remember his name. The old black feller with the dreadlocks. He passed away.
That's racist!
You know what I mean. I can't remember the fella's name, but anyway. Anyway, getting back to Ma Rainey here. She also collaborated with Tommy Dorsey, Tampa Red, Louis Armstrong, and toured and recorded with the Georgia Jazz Band. Touring until 1935, then largely retired from performing and continued as a theater impresario in her hometown of Columbus, Georgia, until her death 4 years later. She has been posthumously inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame, as well as Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rainey's portrayed in several films, including 2020 Academy Award-winning film Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. There it is. 2023, they awarded her a Lifetime Achievement Award Grammy. So early life, again, uncertain about the date of birth, but sometime in 1882. Some say April 26, 1886. She says she was born 1886. Anyway, Columbus, Georgia. Early career. She began her career as a performer at a talent show in Columbus, Georgia. Approximately 12 to 14 years old. Member of the First African Baptist Church. Oh, see. Get that church singing, and that is it. That is it. You know you can sing. They'll just kick you out of the congregation if you try to sing in church and you can't sing. She began performing in black minstrel shows. She later claimed that she was first exposed to blues music around 1902. So even 20 years before she started recording, she's already hearing her first blues music. And it's not like it was written the day before. Again, some of that music's already decades old by that point. So yeah, possibly, blues, jazz, ragtime, this complicated syncopated music, early jazz, could be, pre-reset music, much like, classical stuff. Just closer to the reset kickoff, maybe. Anyways, then it gets into, Pa Rainey, Rabbitfoot minstrels again, blackface song and dance comedians, jubilee singers, and cakewalkers. Okay, parlance of the times, I guess. In 1910, she was described as Mrs. Gertrude Rainey, our coon shouter. I didn't say it. Wikipedia did. Thanks, Wikipedia.
That's racist!
Anyway, you get the drift. She continues with Rabbitfoot Minstrels after taking over new owner. 1912, Rainey found blues music when she was in Missouri. There you go, Missouri. One night performing, and a girl introduced her to a sad song about a man leaving a woman. Rainey said she learned the lyrics of the song and added to her performances. Rainey claimed she created the term blues when asked what kind of song she was singing. I don't know about that. I think that's a tall tale. Yeah, I came up with the term blues. It's because it's a little bit of a melancholy, again, with the flattened notes and the descending notes. It gives you the blues. It gives you, sometimes some blues can make you feel sad, but not all blues. Not all blues. It's another common misconception. Not all blues is sad music. Again, a lot of it is good time party music. Again, that church background, that gospel background, that uplifting feeling charges you, energizes you. But yeah, some blues is some pretty sad ass shit. I ain't gonna lie. From the late 1910s, there was an increasing demand for recordings by black musicians. In 1920, Mamie Smith was the first black woman to be recorded. In 23, Rainey was discovered by Paramount producer J. Mayo Williams. Yeah, that guy, he discovered everybody. He's one of those questionable guys, maybe. Did he really do all that he say he did? Anyway, she signed a recording contract with Paramount in December, made her first 8 recordings in Chicago, including Bad Luck Blues, There's a Boll Weevil, Moonshine Blues. More than 100 other recordings over the next 5 years, which brought her fame beyond the South. Paramount marketed her extensively, calling her the mother of the blues, the songbird of the South, the gold neck woman of the blues. She got a gold neck. She got a gold neck, y'all. That's how she can sing so good. She got her gold neck. The Paramount Wildcat. Oh, my. 1924, she recorded with Louis Armstrong, including Jelly Bean Blues, Counting the Blues, and there it is, CC Rider. Fantastic. I think she did some body stuff. She did some Love Lauren stuff, Torch, Light Love Song, Broken Heart stuff. A little bit of everything. In 1930, Rainey releases her hit single Black Eye Blues, which recounts the fictional story of Miss Nancy, a woman who was brutalized by her husband's violence and infidelity. See, woof. Okay, so maybe not just all good time party butt shaking music, but that's kind of the whole point. She passed of a heart attack in 1939. So yeah, links below for Ma Rainey as well if you want to look a little bit deeper into her. Again, highly recommended looking into a lot of this earlier form. I mean, it was the basis of, jazz and rock and roll and, to some extent, country music. Well, both kinds, country and Western. I mean, country music comes out of Western swing, which was jazz mixed with Western music or country music, It'll throw a little bluegrass in there, give it a little bit of a swing. Let's look at Leadbelly. Let's look at some Leadbelly. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be really old-timey stuff, though, Kathy. But with that said, don't go anywhere because the mid-show break, the sneak peek at the upcoming midweek, that's just for you, Kathy. It's the old Mount Royal stuff that we were talking about behind the scenes there. But yeah, music's coming. First, we're going to look at Leadbelly. Got that name because I think somebody tried to shot him in the belly or something. Can't remember. We're going to find out. This guy sang about all kinds of stuff. This guy did time in the county farm, the work farms and stuff. Sorry, I'm all distracted by something going on here. Excuse me for a moment. Dead air. There we go. Excuse me, sorry. So here we go. Leadbelly. Hoodie William Leadbitter. January 1888 or 1889. See, they're so old that the records got burned up in a fire, probably. December 6th. Okay, so he passed in 49. So that record I have of his is from 1950. Better known by the stage name Leadbelly. He was an American folk and blues singer, notable for his strong vocals, virtuosity on the 12-string guitar, and the folk standards he introduced, including his renditions of In the Pines, Pick a Bale of Cotton, Goodnight Irene, Midnight Special, Cotton Fields, Boll Weevil. I'm telling you, Leadbelly did it, just like on South Park. Simpsons did it. Same thing. Leadbelly did it. Leadbelly usually played a 12-string guitar, but he also played piano, mandolin, harmonica, violin, and windjammer. I don't even know what that is. Tell me in the box if you're a musician and you know what a windjammer is. In some of his recordings, he sang while clapping his hands and stomping his foot. Yeah, like Sunhouse, too. Leadbelly's songs covered a wide, number of topics, including women, liquor, prison life, racism, cowboys, work, sailors, cattle herding, and dancing. He also wrote songs about people in the news, such as Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the little mustachioed feller, Jean Harlow, wasn't she an actress? Yeah. Jack Johnson, the boxer, the Scottsboro Boys, Howard Hughes. Wow, he's just singing about whatever's going on. Hey, I make a song out of that. Leadbelly was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 88, and the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame in 2008. Though many of his releases credited him as Leadbelly, he wrote his name as Leadbelly. 2 different words. It's 2 words, capital L, capital B. This is spelling on his tombstone. It's used by the Leadbelly Foundation. He didn't care for the Leadbelly stage name and always introduced himself by his given name, Huddy Ledbetter. Personal life. The younger of 2 children. He was born Huddy William Ledbetter to Sally Brown and Wesley Ledbetter on a plantation near Mooringsport, Louisiana. On his WW2 draft registration card in 42, he gave his birthplace as Freeport, Louisiana. Shreveport. Certain over his precise date and year of birth. Wow. There's a couple cited there from a couple of different sources. Yada, yada. His parents had cohabited for several years. They married on February 26, 1888, perhaps after his birth that year. When Huddy was 5 years old, the family settled in Bowie County, Texas. Named after Jim Bowie, I bet you. You know, that guy with the knife. By the 1910 census, Harrison County, Texas, Huddy Ledbetter was living next door to his parents in a separate household with his first wife, Aletha Henderson. Aletha is recorded age is 19 and married 1 year later. Married 1 year. Others say she was 15 when they married in 1908. Yikes. Take it easy there, buddy. Ledbetter received his first instrument in Texas, an accordion, from his uncle Terrell. His early 20s, having fathered at least 2 children, Ledbetter left home to make his living as a guitarist and occasional laborer. Yeah, a lot of these guys were part-time laborers or farmers, part-time musicians. Note 3, he was already a musician here. A singer and guitarist of some note, he performed to Shreveport audiences in St. Paul's Bottoms, the notorious red light district. Oh, my. He began to develop his own style of music after exposure to various musical influences on Shreveport's Fannin Street, a row of saloons, brothels, and dance halls in the Bottoms. So you gotta, down in the Bottoms, you gotta look out there now. This area is now referred to as Ledbetter Heights. Ah, there you go. Nice. Tip of the hat to old Huddy. Vaughn says, like Aussie music, beer, bikes, and boobies. Reads like a Chappelle skit. Yeah, a lot of these, of course, just like anything else, you got to take it with a grain of salt on the Wikipedia. A lot of these, official backstories, shall we say? Not to, yeah, you don't want to have them confused with bedwetter. So between 1915 and 1939, he served several prison and jail terms in Louisiana for a variety of criminal charges. Notably, in 1918, under the name of Walter Boyd, he was convicted of deleting a guy in Texas and sentenced to 30 years in prison. After writing a song pleading for clemency, Ledbetter was pardoned by Governor Pat Morris Neff in 1925. That's right. He wrote a song pleading, and it was so good they just let him out of jail after he deleted a guy. I guess you could just do that back then. Man, that guy's good. I tell you what, let him out of there now. You can't cage that bird. 30 years after starting his music career, he was discovered in Angola Penitentiary during a 1933 visit by folklorist John Lomax and his son Alan Lomax. They were recording varieties of local music in the South as a project to preserve traditional music for the Library of Congress. This is one of numerous cultural projects during the Great Depression. Make work project. But they did record a lot of stuff. In fact, I have in my collection quite a few Library of Congress recordings of blues and sort of proto-blues stuff. Jesse says, they say blues came along when the slaves had to pick cotton in the summer. Cotton is a fall plant, usually ready early November. My dad picked it in the 70s for 25 cents a day. Yeah, well, it wasn't just African Americans that picked cotton. All kinds of folks that were living down there that, worked on a company farm or were sharecroppers, picked cotton. Heck, Johnny Cash and his family, they picked cotton. I mean, those cash crops, some of those states, it's almost entirely cotton. And a lot of these traveling bluesmen that rambled around, they were actually just following the migrating workers' patterns, right? In certain times of the year, a certain cash crop would be in harvest, let's say cotton, and then later on, you work on a cane farm, harvesting sugar cane, then over in the wooded area at the turpentine. You know what I mean? Maybe the pea farm, a corn farm, whatever's tobacco, whatever's going on down there in the South, right? These blues musicians are following the workers so they could play for the workers to get them those get backs. And somewhere along the way, there's always going to be a few backwoods juke joints. And if you're close to a town or city, there'll be a bigger juke joint. So blues artists, some of them would work and perform, and some of them would say, "Oh, the hell with this working," if they were real good and they didn't have to work. They could just make their living off performing for the workers. But that's how they would exchange songs and techniques and musical licks. Look at this cool solo I figured out on this here git fiddle, y'all, or whatever, right? Deeply impressed by, I undid it again, I'm sorry. Deeply impressed by Ledbetter's vibrant tenor and extensive repertoire, the Lomaxes recorded him in 1933 on portable aluminum discs, recording equipment for the Library of Congress project. They returned in 1934 with better equipment, recording hundreds of songs. His prison song, Midnight Special, Goodnight Irene. A prison official later wrote to John Lomax denying that Ledbetter's singing had anything to do with his release from prison. State prison records confirm he was eligible for this due to good behavior, but both Ledbetter and the Lomaxes believed that the record had to be taken to the governor that helped gain his release from prison. Ledbetter returned to a state in the midst of the Great Depression, and jobs were scarce. September, needing regular work to satisfy parole, he became John Lomax's unpaid driver. He became a chauffeur. Man, one of the greatest guitar players and one of the greatest songsters of all time. He's playing chauffeur. He's driving Miss Daisy, basically. Huh. During February, Ledbetter recorded his repertoire with Alan Lomax, who also recorded other African Americans. Lomax interviewed Ledbetter about his life for their forthcoming book, Negro Folk Songs as Sung by Leadbelly, 1936. He returned to New York. Yeah, because he became pretty famous, actually. There's actually film footage of him performing. He also sang children's songs, so he put out some records of, little kid songs, like Ring Around the Rosie type. Not that song in particular, but, that type of song. So, yeah, he did some time in a chain gang, and he was imprisoned at the Imperial Farm, now Central Unit in Sugar Land, Texas, after being convicted of deleting a relative over a woman. Yikes. During this second stint of prison, somebody gave him he was shanked in the neck by another inmate. Yikes. He nearly deleted his attacker at the time with his own shank. Man, oh man, knife fights in the county farm there. Yowza. In 1925, he was pardoned and released after writing a song to Texas Governor Pat Morris Neff seeking his freedom. Having served the minimum 7 years of 7 to 35, he was credited with good behavior, which included entertaining the guards and fellow prisoners. He also appealed for mercy. Neff's known religious beliefs was testament to his persuasive powers, as Neff had run for governor on a pledge not to issue pardons. Most Southern judicial systems had no provision for approving parole from prison. After meeting Leadbelly in 24, Neff returned to the prison several times after he was incarcerated again. He brought guests to the prison on Sunday picnics to hear Leadbelly perform. Can you believe that? That's crazy. There's several conflicting stories about Leadbetter acquiring the nickname Leadbelly. Probably happened while he was in prison. Some claim his fellow inmates called him Leadbelly as a play on his family name and his physical toughness. Others say he earned a name after being wounded in the stomach with buckshot. Other theories, the name refers to his ability to drink moonshine, the homemade liquor that Southern farmers, black and white alike, made to supplement their incomes. How about a little bit of, it was a mixed bag, a little all of the above? All of the above. You know. Oh, well, some of them ended up in, asylums or in TB wards. But with the blues men and ladies, and some of the jazz men and ladies, for some reason it was always on that county farm. Pasture of Castles in the box. Hello, hello. Good to see you. So, it was crazy. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the country. And it wasn't just in the South. There was wacky stuff going on everywhere, too. Well, I heard a quote from a lady who lives in the South. I can't remember where I heard it, but the sins of the country are blamed on the South. And I was like, yeah, sounds about right. Anyways, blues singer Big Bill Brunsey thought it came from a supposed tendency to lie about as if with a stomach weighted down by lead in the shade when the chain gang was supposed to be working. Oh, to lie about. Oh, lay about, you mean. Not lie about, lay about. I was going to say, if it comes to lies, Big Bill, you're not exactly the most truthful guy ever, either. Mister, I just walked right off a farm in Arkansas. No, you've been a professional rhythm and blues guitarist since the late 1920s, up in the big city of the Big Apple of New York. So quit lying. However, in his strong local accent is most likely to have led to the nickname Huddy William Leadbetter from Shreveport became Huddy Weem Leadbelly from Freeport. I mean, if your last name is Leadbetter, it's going to become Leadbelly. I mean, it's just how it is. Anyways, they talk about his technique, king of the 12 string. Played finger picks much of the time, using a thumb pick to do walking bass lines, kind of like banjo players do. Take his hammer, take it to the captain. Won't you tell him I'm gone? All kinds of songs. So there, yeah. Links below for Leadbelly from the Wikipedia. Real quick, let's look at Charlie Patton and then we'll take a break, okay? Just kind of saving the best for last, or at least my favorite for last. Again, the Wikipedia. Charlie Patton, April 1891, probably. It's probable that he was born April 1891. Passed April 20th, 1934. It's often spelled Charlie Patton. Yeah, that's how it is here, Charlie Patton. That's how it's spelled. That's how he signed it. There's a couple photographs of his signature on I think it was the Paramount recording contract. Anyways, he was a Delta blues musician and songwriter. Considered by many to be the father of the Delta blues, he created an enduring body of American music and inspired most Delta blues musicians. The musicologist, Robert Palmer, considered one of the most important American musicians of the 20th century. Not that Robert Palmer, by the way. Not the You're Addicted to Love guy. Not that guy. Different guy. You get what I'm saying. Ms. Grandma says Muscle Shoals documentary on the Southern blues and rock and roll. It's Netflix. Yes, I think I saw that. It was very good. Muscle Shoals were great because they had the Wrecking Crew. A lot of great artists performed at Muscle shows, including, the Almonds, the Allman Brothers Band. Anyway, Patton, who was well educated by the standards of his time, spelled his name Charlie, but many sources, including record labels, use Charlie. No, I'm pretty sure I've seen his signature where he spelled it. It doesn't matter. Anyways, biography. Patton was born in Hinds County, Mississippi, in the town of Edwards, and lived most of his life in Sunflower County in the Mississippi Delta. Most sources say he was born April 1891, but years 1881, 85, and 87 have also been suggested. Patton's parentage and race are also uncertain. His parents were Bill and Annie Patton, but locally he was regarded as having been fathered by a former slave, Henderson Chapman. Yes, of the Chapman family of the Mississippi Sheiks, a great blues sort of a jug band or string band. They did the song Sitting on Top of the World. They also recorded hundreds of songs in the 20s and 30s. Anyway, several of Chapman's children became popular Delta musicians and solo performers, such as members of the group, including Mississippi Sheiks. Oh, there it is. Also, Peter Chapman is Memphis Slim, if I'm not mistaken. Several of Chapman's children. Oh, I said that already. Biographer John Fahey described Patton as having light skin and a Caucasian features. I'm not sure what this has to do with anything, but okay. Patton was considered African American, but because of his light complexion, there has been much speculation about his ancestry over the years. One theory endorsed by blues musician Howlin' Wolf was that Patton was Mexican or Cherokee. It's generally agreed that Patton was of black, white, and Native heritage. That probably makes sense. Some believe he had Cherokee grandmother. However, it's also widely asserted by historians that he was between 1/4 and 1/2 Choctaw. In 1897, his family moved 100 miles or 160 clicks north to the 10,000-acre or 40 square kilometer Dockery Farms or Dockery Plantation, a cotton farm and sawmill near Ruleville, Mississippi. Well, there was so much more than a cotton farm and a sawmill. It was actually basically its own town. They had their own post office, their own train station, and they had their own company store with their own currency. But a lot of big plantations had that back in. But anyways, there Patton developed his musical style influenced by Henry Sloan, who had a new unusual style of playing music, which is now considered early form of the blues. Patton performed at Dockery and nearby plantations and began association with Willie Brown, Tommy Johnson, no relation to Robert, Phil and Joe Martin, Robert Johnson, and Chester Burnett, who became famous in Chicago as the Howlin' Wolf. He also lived and performed in the area. Patton served as a mentor to these younger performers. I think he also hung around a little bit with Johnny Shines, too. Oh, yeah, you can't talk about blues without talking about the greatest, the Howlin' Wolf. At least in my opinion, he's my favorite. So this Robert Palmer guy described Patton as a jack-of-all-trades bluesman who played deep blues, white hillbilly songs, 19th century ballads, and other varieties of black and white country dance music with equal facility. He was popular across the southern United States and performed annually in Chicago. In 1934, he performed in New York City. Unlike most blues musicians of his time, who were often itinerant performers, Patton played scheduled engagements at plantations and taverns. He gained popularity for his showmanship, sometimes playing his guitar down on his knees, behind his head, or behind his back. Oh, way before Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimmy Page done did it. He was a small man, about 5'5" tall. His gravelly voice was reputed to have been loud enough to carry 500 yards without amplification. Singing style which particularly influenced Howlin' Wolf, even though Jimmy Rogers, the singing brakeman, also had to be cited there primarily. Patton settled in Holly Ridge, Mississippi. His common-law wife and recording partner Bertha Lee in 1933. His relationship with Bertha Lee was a turbulent one. In early 1934, both of them were incarcerated in Belzoni, Mississippi jailhouse after a particularly harsh fight. Yeah, you get to whiskey and womanizing, and somebody's getting shanked. This guy, W.R. Calloway from Vocalion Records, bailed him out of jail and escorted him to New York City for what would be Patton's final recording sessions. Bail him out of jail just to get him in the studio to record. Again, sing a song, get out of jail. That's your get out of jail free card. Listen out here and you listen good, everybody. All right? If you're going to be up to no good, learn to play them blues. So at least if they throw you in the clink, you can sing your way out, apparently. I don't know if I believe these stories, but anyways. It was so important that they get him in for that final recording session. They later returned to Holly Ridge, and Lee was with Patton in his final days. Bertha Lee. He died on the Heathman Dedham plantation near Indianola on April 28, 34. He's buried in Holly Ridge. Both towns are in Sunflower County. His death certificate says he died of mitral valve disorder, a heart attack. Death certificate does not mention Bertha Lee. The only informant listed is one Willie Calvin. Patton's death was not reported in the newspapers. A memorial headstone was erected on his grave, the location of which was identified by cemetery caretaker, who claimed to have been present at the burial. It was paid for by John Fogerty through the Mount Zion Memorial Fund in 1990. Spell of Patton's name was dedicated by Jim, who composed the epitaph. So there you go. And then, of course, all his recordings. This guy started recording in 1929, basically 100 years ago. Charlie Patton. So where are we at here? Just over an hour. I think it's a good place here to take a quick little mid-show break. Give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek. If you're new to the channel, or as a reminder, every Sunday we do the live show here. Wednesday, vintage footage video, old-timey black and white footage. The older the better. The older the better. And I set it to music, edit the stuff to some music. And then Friday, boots on the ground. So for every live show, I always give you a little looky-loo at the upcoming Wednesday vintage footage. So this one coming up, this one is just for you, Kathy. Kathy Broughton in the box. It's on Wikipedia. I don't believe it. Yeah, you got to take it with a grain of salt, right? Anyway, this one's for you, Kathy. This is some old Mount Royal photos, postcards, and I did find a little bit of footage as well from Mount Royal here in Calgary, the highfalutin American Hill, formerly American Hill. And it's got some Canadian blues, courtesy of Mr. Colin James, our second greatest bluesman after the blind fellow there. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going off on a tangent. But anyways, this is Mount Royal, Calgary. 5 minutes. Smoke them if you got them, by the way. And put on your ear goggles, your head cans. Turn up to 11 there, eh, bud? And as mentioned, Mount Royal, Calgary. About 5 minutes. We'll see you on the other side. All right, stick around. Be right back. All right, and we are back. Howdy, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. New West Reset Live, episode 116 here today on this Sunday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Right, R2? Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining me here. About 20 after the hour, 20 after 6 local time, mountain time. As always, we're coming at you live from Purdy, Alberta, Calgary, southwestern Alberta up in Canada land. Thank you very much for joining me here and winding down your weekend with yours truly on the Sunday Fun Day. Woo! 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 You haven't already? Give a guy one of these and do all the other things. You know, it just helps a fella out. Appreciate it as always. So what'd you think of that? It's not so bad, right? Right? One says, I like this gallery better. Yeah. Jesse says, it looks like the USA. Don't you just hate some borders? Yeah. Boss says, I feel like I'm at the Double Deuce. May have to have a long neck Budweiser. And Pastor of Castle says, grab me one, eh? Oh, yeah, for sure. There you go. There you go. My pleasure. Hey, I can try to take requests on the vintage footage for the Wednesday upload. Sure, why not? Vaughn says it's sexy music time. Sexy music. Wait, what's this? Jesse says, Wikipedia wouldn't let me put a profile about myself up for my published book. It said someone else would have to do it for me. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Yeah, no doubt. No dude. No dude, eh? Is that Jeff Healey? No, that is Colin James, the second best bluesman out of Canada. Jeff Healey's the first. He's the blind one that plays guitar. Colin James is not blind. And Jeff Healey, God rest him, he's since has passed a number of years ago now. Fun fact about Jeff Healey, blind blues guitar player and quite a nice singer. Also played jazz trumpet. So there you go. There you go. Kathy says encore. Well, you get your encore on Wednesday there, my friend. You'll get your encore there on Wednesday. Yep. So, yeah, we had a look at the top half of the show here. So speaking of Wikipedia and their shenanigans, we had a look at Blind Blake, Ma Rainey a little bit, Lead Belly a little bit, and we ended it off with Charlie Patton. And I want to focus a little bit more on Charlie Patton as that old world Walter Cronkite, as it were, on records. Because there was no television back then, you see. There was no telly. There's no telly. Well, yeah, very bluesy. They do sound similar. Colin James does a little bit more hollering. Does a little bit more of the screaming. Yeah! You know, stuff like that, right? Jeff Healey didn't do that as much. Jeff Healey on another level with his guitar playing too. Not to take anything away from Colin James. Colin James is an excellent guitar player. Very bluesy. But Jeff Healey is, on Stevie Ray Vaughan levels. So, that's like top 5 guys of, the blues/blues rock genre. So, it's pretty good. Anyways, what's going on here? Babylon Fox. Stephanie says, I've taught blind singers. What they lack in sight, they make up for in a ton of other ways. Yeah, that's what they blind musicians, right? The recording world is lousy. It's silly it's peppered with blind musicians, not just blues, jazz, but popular music, classical music. That Andrea Bocelli's blind as a bat, right? Stevie Wonder, one of my favorites, man. Come on, man. Was there anybody greater for funky rhythm and blues in the 70s that's Stevie Wonder? Ray Charles? Come on, man. Well, I got a woman way over town. Go to me. Oh, yeah. Come on, man. Tickling them ivories. You got, what's his name there? The Spanish guitar player guy. He's blind. Jose Feliciano. That's the guy. I was having a brain fart there for a second. That guy's blind too. You're as blind as a bat, and I got sight. Anyway, it's an old SNL skit. If you know, you know. Stevie ain't faking it. He claimed he was from Saturn. Really? Who knows? That might have been the LSD he was taking in the 70s and the cocaine, maybe. You know? I heard Stevie was faking it. I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. Stevie's just one of the musicians, though. You know, he plays like 5, 6 different instruments. You look at the credits on his album, like in the liner notes, it's, you know, songs, Stevie Wonder. The music, Stevie Wonder. Bass, Stevie Wonder. Keyboard, Stevie Wonder. Piano, Stevie Wonder. Alto saxophone, Stevie Wonder. Tenor saxophone, Stevie Wonder. You're like, come on, man, really? He's one of those guys you could hand him like a didgeridoo or something, and he just goes off for 5 minutes, comes back, and he's just playing it expertly, and you're like, get out of here. Get out of here. Engelbert Humperdinck, he ain't blind. He's not blind. Really? He's the Engelbert Humperdinck is the, you know, that's not even the guy's real name. That's a stage name. He chose that name. He chose the name Engelbert Humperdinck. Yeah, Ray Charles is blind as a bat. And, you know, for a while he was, you know, taking the guy, you know, he wrestled some demons and was hooked on the smack for a while there, right? The heroin, which is makes you hallucinate. How do blind musicians hallucinate? I wonder. Anyway, really gone off the rails here. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. Of course, the ever popular Georgia. Georgia. Come on, man. Yeah, he went blind as a kid. Went blind as a kid. No, he wasn't an orphan. But a lot of blind musicians were orphans, though. So they ended up on the orphan trains or in orphanages, but they were blind too, and they became musicians. Talk about overcoming some odds. Talk about overcoming some odds, man. Wow. Anyways, I've got some Charlie Patton here. Now, this is a song that I've used on the channel before, but I've created a little video where we've got a song called High Water Everywhere, Part 1. And he's singing about the Mississippi flood of 1927, I want to say. And he recorded this within the year, like within a year later. Recorded and released. And so I made a little video with the music and just, you know, a slideshow of photographs. And we're going to listen to it, but to try to avoid any kind of copyright problems and whatnot and so on and so forth, I'm going to pause it because I'm going to have to share the lyrics with you because the lyrics are kind of hard to understand. This is old, scratchy, 78 RPM shellac platters from basically 100 years ago. Some of them, there's only, 5 to 10 to a dozen copies of the actual physical record known to exist. And it's all these crazy hoarder, collector white guys up in up in New York and stuff that are, they've got them all. Yeah, you could record off my original 78. I'll license it to you for $10,000 or whatever, you know. Anyway. At age 15, he became an orphan? Oh, okay. Yeah, he went blind pretty young. Yeah, 6. Chassis says 6. Then his mama died when he was a teen, eh? But Babylon Fox says Ray Charles would definitely bring in the sexy time to his music. 12 children with 10. Yeah, he's blind. He kept bumping into him. Sorry, miss.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just walking along down here. Bumped into y'all. Yeah, sorry about that, baby.
That's what happens. When you're blind, you just bump it into ladies, and 9 months later, whoops. Harry Belafonte, yeah. I got like 3 Harry Belafonte records, too, actually. One of them is Harry Belafonte live in Toronto. Careful now. Go making a mess now. Settle down. Settle down. I'm just saying, you know. If I was a blind musician, and that's the excuse I would use. Sorry, I'm just trying to make my way to the recording studio to record my next big hit because I'm a poor blind musician. And I just bumped into some lady. I didn't mean for it to happen. You know, the modern version of that today is wasn't me. Wasn't me. Right? Back in the day, it was, I'm blind, y'all. It seems like there was a lot more blind musicians back in the day than there are now. I don't know. I mean, I haven't, put together a chart and run a matrix on it or anything, but I haven't done any door campaigns or anything, but I'm just saying it seems that way, no? Like every once in a while, one will pop up, sure. But, I mean, it's in the blues especially. Probably, I don't know. I'm going to just go by the 80-20 rule here, but that's just to be like really conservative on the numbers, I think. But like 20% of these artists are blind. Or blind in one eye, or they got messed up eye, or something blew up in their eyes, or something. Born blind. You got Blind Lemon, and of course they always have blind in their name, right? Blind Lemon Jefferson. You got Blind Willie McTell. You got Blind Blake. Anyway. Let me just cue this up here for you. This is Charlie Patton. High Water Everywhere. And again, I'm gonna be pausing it here, okay? Because it's gonna be the lyrics are tough. Lyrics are tough. And also, if you're not from the area, or if you're not familiar with old-timey acoustic, quote-unquote, Delta or country blues, you're not going to know, where Rosedale is. But generally speaking, he's singing about, for the most part, the area that he's from. So he shouts out a few places in the song, and it's basically like he's giving a report of the flood, the Great Mississippi Flood. High water everywhere. So, by the way, let me know in the box, if you don't mind, if you can hear the volume all right and everything. So I'm just going to let it play here for a few lines, and then I'll interpret, I guess.
The backwater done rolls around some love. Show me down that line. Backwater done roll that down the road. Pull Charlie down that line. And I tell that water, don't jump through this town.
Kathy says, yes, okay. So you can hear it okay? Yeah? Can you hear it okay? Oh, no, you were responding to cool channel name. So can you hear it? Can you hear it all right in the chat? Hello? Yeah. Yes, no? You know, they've got the blues when they can't speak properly. Well, there's a southern drawl, southern accent. There's regional accents. Yeah, maybe a couple of them have had a couple of shots of whiskey before they went into the studio to record. You know, help to calm their nerves or get them all loosey-goosey. You know, any musician will tell you that. You know, Patton sang a song called Spoonful, which was about that their cocaine. So maybe a couple of them, you know, did a couple of bumps. I don't know. Kathy says, can you hear the music just fine? Okay, great. Yes. Okay. Heard. Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sound is perf. It sounds perf, eh? Awesome. Thank you. Sounds fine here. Very good. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll play it again and then I'll do the interpretation.
The backwater, the roads around some love. Show me down the line. Backwater, the road and down the road. Pull Charlie down the line. And I tell that water, don't jump through this town.
Okay, by the way, that's just one guy singing and playing one guitar. But he's stomping his foot, he'll bang or tap on his guitar, and he'll play the 6 strings of the guitar, and he also plays bottleneck with, I believe, a metal slide. But anyways, so the lines are, well, Blackwater done rose all around Sumner now. So Sumner is a town, or was a town, it's probably a city by now. Drove me down the line. Blackwater done rose at Sumner, drove poor Charlie down the line, Charlie Patton. So he's inserting himself right in this scenario. He's like, look, it's like your crazy weather reporter that's there in the eye of a hurricane, you know. This is Elizabeth McFadden reporting live, you know, and in the background you see the funnel cloud touching down. Anyway, Lord, I tell the world the water done crept through this town. So he's in Sumner, and the water's rising up or creeping through the town.
Lord, down around country, Lord, with my hands overflow. Lord, down around country, man is overflow.
So, Lord, the whole round country, Lord, river has overflowed. Lord, the whole round country, man, it's overflowed. And then he does a couple of spoken asides here too, where he actually will talk instead of sing in kind of a lower voice, where he'll say, man, the water's high, or something like that. And I think he says that here too.
You know, I can't stay I'll go wide high, boy.
Yeah, he says something like, man, I can't stay here. I got to go where it's high, boy. Meaning a high country.
I was going to the hill country, but it got me by.
And he says, I would go to the hill country, but they got me barred. So let me roll it back and I'll just play it through again. Or should I play it through and then? I don't know.
Lord, down around country, Lord, with my hands overflow. Lord, down around country, man is overflow. You know, I can't stay I'll go wide high, boy. I was going to the hill country, but it got me barred.
Yeah, I'd go to the hill country, but they got me barred. Yikes. I'm just trying to get out of here, man. You just heard me telling you that the Blackwater done rose all around Sumner.
Now look here, now Leela, still was rising high. Look here, boy, now Leela, till the river raging high.
So he says, now look here now at Leland. So Leland, Mississippi. River is rising high. Look here, boys around Leland, tell me, river was raising high. So he's a little he's being a little cheeky there. He says river was rising high, then raising high.
Boy, it's rising over there, yeah.
Then he says, boy, it's rising over here, yeah.
I'm gonna move over to Greenville. Boy, I tell you goodbye.
Gonna move over to Greenville before I leave. Goodbye. Exactly. I heard that. He was part of naval intelligence, right? One of the trees says, don't F with the hill people. Yeah. Yeah, precisely what I'm talking about. Ubu Khan says right there, history and song. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, water down, Lord, in the brook. Road moat everywhere. The water, people, and little. Going down the road everywhere.
So he says, look here, the water now, Lordy. Levee one broke, rose most everywhere. The water at Greenville and Leland, Lord, it done rose everywhere.
Boy, you can't never see,
Boy, you can never stay here. Just love those expressions from the South. Not like, you know, oh, you can't stay here. It's no, you can't never stay here. Like I'm being double emphatic. Not that you just can't or you never. No, you can't never.
I would go down the road now, but they tell me it's water now.
I would go down to Rosedale, but they tell me there's water there. Just wind it back a little bit. I don't want it to get too hinky-janky, but...
Move over to Greenville, boy, I tell you goodbye. We are water down, Lord, in the brook. Road moat everywhere. The water, people, and little. Going down the road everywhere. Boy, you can't never see, I would go down the road now, but they tell me it's water now.
So he's not only talking about the cities and towns where the water is flowing, and he's going this way, that way, trying to get the hell out of the low country, I guess, to try to get to the hill country or higher ground. But he's also talking about that the levees are broke. He says levee one broke. So not only is the Mississippi flooding, but the levees are starting to give way. Which I guess explains that no matter which way he goes, he's slipping and sliding in the mud. You know what I'm saying?
Now the water, now, mama, construction's in town. Well, they tell me the water, construction's in town. Boy, I'm going to Vicksburg. Well, I'm going to Vicksburg, for I have mine.
So he said, now the water, now mama, done took Charlie's town. So the water's just swept away his town at this point. Well, they tell me the water done took Charlie's town. Boy, I'm going to Vicksburg. Yeah, that's where he says, boy, I'm going to Vicksburg. And then he says, well, I'm going to Vicksburg for that high of mine. It sounds like that's what he says, for that high of mine. Could be for that higher land, maybe. It's very muddled and scratchy, right? So it's hard to pick out. What year is this? The flood, I believe, is 1927, the Mississippi flood. They've had multiple floods, but the one he's singing about is the 27 flood, I believe. And this song was released within that year, so right around late 27, 28. So basically 100 years ago, give or take, right?
I am going out that water while it don't never flow. Well, I'm going on a hill where water don't never flow. Boy, Sugar County is still a down shore. Barlow County one is over in Tallahatchie. Boy, when Tallahatchie, we got it over there.
I like when he does that stuff. And boy, I'm going to tell you what, because it sounds like two people. But he says, I'm going up that water where the lands don't never flow. So I don't know if he's being clever or cheeky there, or if he mixed his words up, because then he corrects it in the second time where he says, where I'm going over the hill where water don't ever flow. But then in that spoken voice, he says, boy, hit Sharkey County and everything was down in Stovall. So there's that mention of Stovall Plantation. He says that everything was down in Stovall. In other words, Stovall got hit, Sharkey County got hit, Vicksburg is hit, Rosedale's hit, Greenville and Leland. Let's play that again.
Tallahatchie. Boy, when Tallahatchie, we got it over there.
Oh yeah, then he says, but the whole county was leaving over that Tallahassee shore. And he says, boy, that Tallahatchie, not Tallahassee, sorry, Tallahatchie. But that whole county was leaving over the Tallahatchie shore. And then he says, boy, went to Tallahatchie and got it over there. Whatever that means. Let me play it again here.
Boy, I'm going to Vicksburg. Well, I'm going to Vicksburg, for I have mine. I am going out that water while it don't never flow. Well, I'm going on a hill where water don't never flow. Boy, Sugar County is still a down shore. Barlow County one is over in Tallahatchie. Boy, when Tallahatchie, we got it over there. Lord, the water done rest all of that old Jackson Road. Lord, the water done raged over the Jackson Road. Boy, you got my clothes. I'm going back to the hill country. Won't be worth no more.
So that last bit, he says, Lord, the water done rushed all over down old Jackson Road. So now we're into Jackson, Mississippi. Lord, the water done raised over the Jackson Road. And I had trouble understanding what he says in that little spoken bit. It sounds like he says, it starched my clothes, or it's starched my, or stopped my, or it's hard to pick out what it says. It sounds like it starched my clothes, but I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Unless that's an old expression for you're shocked. Well, starch my clothes, but I don't know. I'm just a very sheltered and, just a sheltered Canadian up here. But then he says, I'm going back to hill country. Won't be worried no more. Let me just play it again a little bit.
There's still a down shore. Barlow County one is over in Tallahatchie. Boy, when Tallahatchie, we got it over there. Lord, the water done rest all of that old Jackson Road. Lord, the water done raged over the Jackson Road. Boy, you got my clothes. I'm going.
Oh, it sounds like he says, boy, it's got my something. Boy, it's got my, I don't know what.
Going back to the hill country, won't be worth no more.
So that's High Water Everywhere Part 1. I won't play a Part 2, but because it's similar, but he doesn't give as many town names. He doesn't shout out all these towns. Again, here we've got Greenville, Leland, Rosedale, Vicksburg. Then he says Sharkey County, Stovall, Tallahatchie, and Jackson. So it's 8 different places that the water has cut him off from, that he's trying to get away from with this flood. Oh, and Sumner, 9 places. So, wow. So I'm going to play I'm going to play the whole thing through from start to finish without interrupting. And I don't know, I'm sure there's places online that you could find the lyrics. They tend to be pretty inaccurate. You got to basically have a really good ear for it. I mean, I'm going to be 55 here in June. So I've been listening to blues for almost 40 years. And even I have a lot of trouble, and that's with good headphones on and listening to sometimes the same sentence, like 20 times, trying to figure out what they're saying. Again, it's a combination of age and regional slang, regional dialects, maybe a little bit of booze. Maybe they're tired because this is the 3rd or 4th take in the studio of this song. Charlie Patton was just giving her there, bud. So maybe he's out of breath. A lot of times they don't finish the end of the word at the end of the sentence because they're doing a call and response with their guitar. So they're letting their guitar, quote unquote, finish the last word in the sentence for them. So he may let his voice trail off and let the guitar pick it up with striking the string and then using the bottleneck. Anyway, let me play it through one more time because it's like 3 minutes, right?
The backwater, the roads around some love, show me down the line. Backwater, the road and down the road, pull Charlie down the line. And I tell that water, don't jump through this town. Lord, that old round country, Lord, we will heads overflow. Lord, that old round country, man, is overflow. I can't stay, I'll go while it's hard, boy. I would go to the hill country, but it got me bound. Now Louisiana, Lila, still was rising high. Louisiana, boy, around Lila, real well raging high. Boy, it's rising over there, yeah. I'm gonna move over to Greenville. Oh, I tell you goodbye. We are water down, Lord, in the road won't get very well. The water, Greenville and Lila, going down the road everywhere. Boy, you can't never see y'all. I would go down the road now, but they tell me it's water now. Now the water now, mama, construction's in town. Well, they tell me the water, construction's in town. Boy, I'm going to Vicksburg. Well, I'm going to Vicksburg, or I have mine. I am going out that water while it don't ever flow. Well, I'm going on a hill where water don't ever flow. Boy, Sharkey County is still a down shore. Ball County one is that. over in Tallahatchie. Boy, when Tallahatchie, you got it over there. Lord, the water done rest all on that old Jackson Road. Lord, the water done rages over the Jackson Road. Boy, you got my clothes. I'm going back to the hill country. Won't be worth no more.
Yeah, it could be claws. Boy, I got my claws. Again, it sounds like that's what he's saying, but I don't know. It doesn't really make sense either, but who knows? Right? He could be saying something completely different. We see how tough it is to interpret, basically. Plus, people spoke differently in 1927, 28 than they do now. 100 years ago, it's that stupid time machine analogy, right? Let's play time cop here, Jean-Claude Van Damme. If you went back 100 years, people spoke differently than we do now. We would barely be able to understand. I bet you the 20s people would just slap the 2020s people right in the face because they would think you're hysterical or talking gibberish or speaking in tongues or something. Yes, exactly. All the colloquialisms were different. Yeah, for sure. Hello, Jenny. Good to see you. Howdy. Thanks for shooting in there, eh? Looks like Frank Sinatra. A little bit. Well, he's got that nicely coiffed hair. I think it's much getting back to Charlie Patton's I don't know, color, racial background, whatever he is. I don't know. You know what I mean. A lot like Chuck Berry. Wasn't Chuck Berry's grandma Cherokee also or something? It's that kind of, I think that's kind of that whole idea, I think, that it's like 50% white, 50% black, and 50% Cherokee.
That doesn't make sense.
Melted Syracuse, New York in the box. Hello. Anyway, I've got another Charlie Patton one because this guy is just giving us the news, letting us know what's going on back in the 1920s. Again, that song we just heard, High Water Everywhere, Part 1. You can easily find this on the YouTubes or whatever. And you could find, all the information of where and when it was recorded and so on and so forth. But that's just old Charlie and his guitar. That's it. Tapping his foot and slapping the guitar. Actually slapping the strings almost like a dampening effect, but he's using it more percussively because he's really banging it. Plus just playing beautiful guitar. Again, it's hard to tell with that old scratchy record. But I've got another one. This is called, we were talking earlier about the boll weevil, or the boll weevil, apparently. So I've got, this is called Mississippi boll weevil. Wait a second here. I think that's what it's called. Because there's a bazillion boll weevil songs. Mississippi boll weevil. Yes, that's official. Because there's some called Mississippi boll weevil blues and so on and so forth. But anyway. This is right around that same time, late 20s maybe. Again, roughly, give or take, 100 years ago. Giving us the news, Mr. Charlie Patton, of what's going on right at that time in his immediate area. And Charlie was very astute, shall we say, of getting right on it with singing about disasters, floods and famines and pestilences like the boll weevil, as well as other stuff. So I think what I'll do for this is I'll let it play right through, and then I'll play it again with stops and some as we try to sort of play around with the lyrics and figure it out, some interpretations. But I'll let it play through initially. Here we go.
Here's a little boy, we will keep moving in this Lordy. You can plant your cotton and you won't get a heavy stay, Lordy. Go, why you need a hole, Lordy. Louisiana in Texas is a wild, pretty bone on it. Well, I saw the boy weave a lot of snake, a lot of Indian on it. The next time I see them, Lord, they had his family there on it. Boy weave a left, take a lot of business, very well on it. Where you going now? I'm going down to Mississippi, going to get a little down the hill on it. Boy, we was headed for it. They ain't got to get fell on it. Hi, that boy. Suck all the blossom and leave you a hefty square on it. The next time I see you, I had your family there on it. Boy, you little white witch sit out on the hill on it. Boy, you told the wife, let's take this for the hill on it. Boy, you told the wife, said I believe I'll make a law on it. All I will tell all about it. Let her leave in Louisiana and go to Arkansas on it. Well, I saw the boy weave a lot of second, a lot of in the air. Next time I see him, Lord, he had his family there. Boy, we were told father, I think I see you fell. Some all the blinds and leave you, I had to square on her. Go, you where you need a hole on it. More than where the rain cotton and corn on it. Go, you, while I treat me foul on it. Next time I see you had your family there on it.
All right, so that's Charlie Patton, Mississippi Boll Weevil. So recorded in 1929, that song. So yeah, again, for all intents and purposes, 100 years old. Howdy, Morgan. Morgan Isabella Live 2.0. Every single bit of it coming from him. Well, coming from him through Charlie. You know, capital H, him. So the boll weevil was a beetle-like creature, as if it wasn't bad enough that you had to worry about grasshoppers or locusts devouring your, tobacco fields and your sugarcane fields. Then you get the boll weevil that's going to go after your cotton and corn. Great. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely right. Ubukan saying the great song, covered by many. Yeah, and tons of different versions of it too. I like this version. Again, I'm very partial to Charlie Patton. I think the guitar playing on this is fantastic. Again, that's just one guy on one guitar, 6-string. I erroneously said in the High Water Everywhere that he was playing bottleneck style. He was not. In this, he's playing bottleneck style. You can tell by that sort of eerie, high-pitched, sort of singing or ringing that he's creating with the guitar string. So let's go through it again and see if we can decipher what he's talking about with this boll weevil beetle here in 1929.
Here's a little boll weevil, keep moving in it, Lordy.
Okay, so right there, that's what I was talking about, where a lot of times they'll trail off and won't even say the last word or last couple of words in a sentence or in a phrase. They'll let the guitar finish it or speak for them. It's part of that call and answer that goes back to field hollers and also goes back to gospel in the church too, where the preacher would holler something and the choir would respond back. This time it's Charlie and his guitar basically doing the call and response or call and answer. So he's saying, here's a little boll weevil, keep moving in the air is what he's supposed to be saying, but he trails off in air. And then he says, Lordy. There's a lot of Lordies in here because, he's from the South. They're like, Lordy, Lord of mercy. He's singing about something that's troubling him. It's decimating the entire land of his surroundings. So he's very worried or anxious about it. So, he's declaring. He does a lot of Lordies in this song.
Here's a little boll weevil, keep moving in it, Lordy. You can plant your cotton and you won't get a half a bale, Lordy.
You can plant your cotton and you won't get a half a bale, Lordy.
Oh, weevil, why you need a hole, Lordy? A Louisiana in Texas, little wild, pretty bold, Lordy.
Boll weevil, where's your native home, Lordy? Then I'm not sure if he says Louisiana raised in Texas is where I was bred and born, or if he says Louisiana and East Texas is where I was bred and born. I'm not sure. Either way it works, I guess.
Well, I saw the boll weevil, Lord, I sang a lot of Indiana.
See, that time he says it. Well, I saw the boll weevil, Lord, a circle, Lord, in the air, Lordy. Well, I saw a boll weevil, Lord, a circle, Lord, in the air, Lordy. Bing, 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 bing. Right?
The next time I see him, Lord, I had his family there, Lord.
Next time I don't know if he says next time I seed him or next time I seeded, meaning planted seed. But he says, next time I seed him, Lord, he had his family there, Lordy.
Oh, we will left take a lot of business very well, Lord. Where you going now? I'm going down to Mississippi, going to get a little down there, Lord.
Boll weevil left Texas, Lord. He bid me fare thee well, Lordy. And then he says, where are you going now? I'm going down to Mississippi, going to give Louisiana hell, Lordy. Yikes. He's talking to the boll weevil. And the boll weevil's talking some smack. I'm going to lay down some destruction in these cotton fields.
Boll weevil said it for me. They ain't got to you fell on it. I let one suck all the blossom and leave you a happy square on it.
Boll weevil said to farmer, I think I treat you fair. And he says, how's that going? Suck all the blossoms and leave your hedges square. It sounds like he says leave your hedges square, Lordy. Again, I'm not sure. It's just what it sounds like.
The next time I see you, I had your family there.
So he's gone from telling us about the boll weevil to now he's talking right to the boll weevil. Right? He's saying next time I saw him, he had his family there. But now he's saying, boll weevil, next time I saw you, you had your family there. So I guess he's kind of personal. It's a little bit more personal. He's personalizing it. It's affected him on a personal level. And probably as a traveling musician who makes his living off of the getbacks, you know, people throwing him money in juke joints and while he performs in street corners, people coming to see him at juke joints and blues halls and dance halls, and people buying his records. But if the boll weevil's decimating the cotton crop, it's affecting the entire economy. And anybody involved in the cotton industry or the corn industry, you know, it's not like they're going to have money to throw around to be paying for Charlie Patton to make his living necessarily.
Boy, you need a white we sit down in. Boy, you told the wife, let's take this 40.
So boll weevil met his wife. We can sit down on the hill, Lordy. Boll weevil told his wife, let's do this 40 in, I believe is what he's saying. Talking about his 40 acres. Let's do it in. So just the boll weevil and his wife is just sitting up on the hilltop there, looking down over this farmer's cotton, 40 acres of cotton, and says, yeah, let's just go down there and decimate it. Yeesh. Boll weevil told his wife, said, I believe I may go north, Lordy.
All I will tell about it, little leave Louisiana and go to Arkansas.
And he says, I'm going to tell him all about it. Let's leave Louisiana. We can go to Arkansas, Lordy. So it's just everywhere. Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. Trade this 40 in. Yeah, okay, there you go. I jumped back too far, sorry.
The next time I see you, I had your family there. Boy, you need a white we sit down in. Boy, you told the wife, let's take this 40 in.
Yeah, let's take this 40 in. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's take this 40 in. Boll weevil told his wife, let's take this 40 in.
Boy, you told the wife, said I believe I'll make a Lord on it. All I will tell about it, let's leave Louisiana and go to Arkansas.
Yeah, let's leave Louisiana. We can go to Arkansas, Lordy.
Well, I saw the boll weevil do the second lot in the air.
It's quite a mouthful. Well, I saw a boll weevil load a circle lord in the air, Lordy. And he's just calling out for the Lord. Well, I saw the boll weevil lord a circle lord in the air, Lordy.
Next time I see him, Lord, he had his family there. Oh, you told father, I think I take you fell. Some all the blinds and leave you had to square. Oh, you go, you where you need a hole. More than where the rain got the cold.
Gets a little repetitive, so at least with this song, after a while, you can sort of figure out what he's saying. Boll weevil, where's your native home? Most anywhere they grow cotton and corn, or they raise cotton and corn. Most anywhere they raise cotton and corn, yeah.
Boll weevil, for that treat me fell on her. Next time I see you had your family there on her.
Charlie Patton, Mississippi Boll Weevil from 1929. Singing about the cotton and corn crop decimation by this boll weevil. Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and obviously Mississippi. PCS World in the Box. Hello, hello. Detected in Brazil, an estimated 90% of the cotton farms in Brazil are now infested. During the 1990s, the weevil spread to Paraguay and Argentina. See? Yeah. Just massive, massive swaths of land. That's what he was, that's what Charlie Patton was singing about in that one. I mean, if it ain't floods, it's boll weevils. Yikes. So a couple of people in the chat are saying that make this a part 2 or something. Yeah, we could definitely do that for sure. I can get into some, I'll try to keep it around 100 years, give or take, right? You know, mid to late 1920s. I don't have anything older than that because it wasn't on shellac platter back then. It was on the cylinders, and the technology wasn't there to transfer it. There was some really early, 19-aughts and 19-teens. I guess you could call them blues, very early jazzy proto blues and ragtime and stuff like that. But, it's not like, these old shellac platters that they can actually put it down on a machine and drop a stylus on it and transfer it into a digital file or even analog file, and then put it onto a vinyl record. And then later on, it's, as mentioned, cassettes and CDs. So as far back as I can go is, 25, 26, 27, up to about 29, maybe 1930. So yeah, we could definitely look at, as much as I'd love to play Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and Magic Sam and Buddy Guy, there's some songs that they perform and they've recorded that are considered blues standards. So they are older songs. But, the further we go back in early blues, sort of pre-electric blues especially, you get songs that maybe these guys are re-recording. Well, I shouldn't say maybe. I know for a fact a lot of the songs that these early blues artists were recording were already older songs. Leadbelly talked often about songs that he knew that were from the 1880s and so on. So yeah, definitely. Hey, Phil Henry is here. Phil Henry in the box. Frankie Fingers over here. Eh? Well, yeah, Charlie Patton's stuff is rare in a sense that, the records, the original recordings are super rare. But these days, with technology being what it is, right, you can, you can find the stuff, like Charlie Patton stuff, old Sunhouse stuff, all the, the blind Willie McTells and the blind Blakes and the Ma Rainey's, all the blind guys and all the blues artists from the 20s fairly easily now, especially on the WhoTubes. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find stuff that's from my collection, stuff that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with some of the songs and the lyrics to the songs. And, you know, the older the better, at least when we're looking into, you know, little hints, little clues, you know, and that was kind of the thing with this, is traveling back approximately 100 years just to hear about events as they happened at that time, to see if there was any clues in the blues. I'm sure ragtime too, although ragtime is basically, again, it's more of a up-tempo, upbeat, syncopated music. So it's kind of meant more for dancing, really. So the lyrics are going to be maybe not necessarily, oh, there was a flood over there, or oh, there's boll weevils over here, or oh, this sheriff arrested me and threw me in jail for 90 days. There's songs about Joe Turner that, back during, the freeing of the slaves, and the Emancipation Proclamation, and just as you're getting into sharecropping and Jim Crow era and that sort of thing at the turn of the last century, there were stories of this Joe Turner where if you were African American and you didn't have a job and you were just walking down the street, they could just scoop you up and throw you in jail. The county sheriff got me, put me in jail for vagrancy. We'll just put you on the county farm. You can smash rocks or build railroads or build roads in general, or you could work, we'll contract you out to that cotton farmer or that tobacco farmer. So, I mean, there's a lot of stories like that. And I mean, some of those stories, they can get to be pretty almost generic in a sense. So I like to look for stuff that speaks to really specific things. That's why the boll weevil, Mississippi boll weevil song, and High Water Everywhere, part one especially, you really get a feeling for what's going on. Henry's here. Good to see you, Henry. Thanks for shooting in. What's this? What's going on? Baha saying, I hear the German ones can't drown or something. Something weird. What's that about the roaches? Yikes. Eesh. Yikes. That's, you just say roaches and ugh. Yeah. Wiley says, Kathy and I like it, Frankie. Well, there you go. Well, that's good enough for me. It's good enough for me. Yeah, I can definitely look into some more stuff. I already mentioned Mississippi John Hurt. Got some of his 20s recordings. Some Sun House from 1930. So right on I don't really want to get too much further than maybe 1930. Give or take 5 years to be 100 years, if it's like 1925, 1930, that's okay. I try not to go beyond that if I can help it. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Who knows? Maybe it'll be another new series, kind of like the Pedestrian Oblivion series here on the channel, which is always a good time. Watching people from the Victorian era just wandering across the street. Look out for the horses and the trolley streetcar trams there, buddy. You're going to get hit. Thank you. Baha says enjoyed it. Music's fascinating. Yeah, I think so. And it's not just blues. That just happens to be my passion, is the blues. That's my favorite genre of music. But it's like that in other genres. I'm absolutely positive. What they are calling hillbilly music or whatever, it later becomes, bluegrass. All kinds of stories. It might be more about coal mining than cotton picking, but it'll be some cotton picking in there. Again, train songs, work songs, getting hooked on moonshine or whiskey, and my woman leaving me songs. I'm just not too familiar with that genre of music. I kind of lean more towards, blues and rock and roll. That's all. And jazz. I like a lot of jazz too. I don't like that improv jazz stuff though. I like, bebop and hard bop. I like the bop stuff up until, the sort of mid 60s. Then when they started getting kind of weird with it, I'm like, okay, I'm out. Like psychedelic music's cool and jazz music is cool, but for me, I didn't like psych jazz fusion. It was strange to me. If you like it, that's your thing. Hey, enjoy it. But wasn't my thing. You know what I'm saying? Channel 53 says I liked it too. Love blues and play it on guitar a lot. Ah, see, there you go. Yeah, freeform jazz fusion is not my thing. No. I like, Ben Webster, and I like early Miles Davis, of course, and John Coltrane, and I like the bebop cats, like what's his name, Mr. Huge Cheeks there, Huge Chicks. Some of the singers maybe are huge chicks. Huge Cheeks, Dizzy Gillespie. I remember seeing him on Sesame Street or Muppet Show or something when I was a kid. Dizzy Gillespie, only just to realize years later, I think that was Dizzy Gillespie that was on there. All right, so what do you say? Before we go here, what do you say we mess around here and have a little bit of fun with some videos that Kathy shared with me. Oh, speaking of guitar, here we go. Guitar and vocals. Piano and vocals too. That's great also. But there's just something about the guitar and vocals that work well together. Not only in blues, with, like Charlie Patton or, I don't know, Robert Johnson or Muddy Waters, or the Howlin' Wolf. But in most genres of music, the singing and guitar, because then you can just have the one artist, singer, songwriter, guitar player, just doing their thing. Maybe acoustic, maybe it's hard rock, it's electric, whatever. Here's a good example. You got to have good, strong vocals and good guitar skills.
An ambulance?
He doesn't have a third signal. Give him a ticket. Go and get a ticket. He can do anyone.
Okay.
Give him a ticket.
Okay. Can I help you with anything?
He didn't use his turn signal.
Man, can I please call you an ambulance? Sure. It's not.
I am getting harassed. People are breaking the law.
What's that? On the line again?
You see how important it is? Good, strong vocals and some nice guitar skills, and boom, you go viral. Maybe not for the reason you intended, but there you go. Oh, as soon as, like 2 seconds into that, when you said it to me, Kath, 2 seconds into that, I was dying. Oh, wow, boss. Someone sleeps with her. Yikes. Yeah, wow. Water the tree says, geez. You can hear, I think I hear the police officer trying to choke back laughter, and then he just keeps asking, can I call you an ambulance? Oh, man. Redonkulous. What else have I got? What else has Kathy sent me? Oh, well, we might as well just bring it right back around to Canada there, eh, Bod? And, we just had our elections up here, too, a little while ago. And after all the crying, speaking of crying and moaning, like in blues music, speaking of the crying and the moaning, and I'm going to add pissing and whining in there, that everybody that I've come across and how tired they were of the liberal government, the lefty government, the former Trudy there, Justine Trudy government. What happens? The liberals win the election. I mean, it's a minority government, but still, really? So there's that. But anyways, this is typical Canadian talk, Canuck humor about the election. This guy, I don't even know who this guy is. I wish I could shout him out. Tip to the hat. Hats off to this guy.
God damn, that was a wild election, eh, boys? Thank Christ that one's over with. Holy shit.
Buddy, no shot. This election was bullshit. We need another one.
And why Le Bloc Québécois only has 23 seats? Definitely some bullshit.
I'm honestly surprised you can even count that high.
What the fuck, man? I was agreeing with you.
Buddy, nobody cares about Quebec. It's your fault we're in this mess anyway.
I don't think it's that much of a mess.
Shut up.
Oh, okay. I mean...
Prince Edward Island is so small that I don't know if he crouched down for that shot or stood in a hole or what.
At least the Liberals only got 168, not a full majority, right?
Hey, fuck you too, man. Half your province went red.
What? That was literally one riding. Don't try and explain it to him. He doesn't understand how Canadian elections work.
You!
Oh, hey, bud.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Well, it's a good thing we got a Liberal government then, so he'd be out of jail in 3 years after committing murder, right?
I love that hoodie that says Canadian AF. Canadian as fudge. That's awesome. And this guy's hoodie, the Alberta guy, it says Berta. An Alberta license plate that says Berta on it. I like that. Might have to try to come up with some merch of my own that's similar to that. Something to do with Purdy Alberti, maybe. Don't steal my idea now.
No, it's fucking ridiculous. We need an Alberta party to get some goddamn common sense in this country. Fuck's sakes.
Ben, and call it what? Des Blocs Redneckois?
You know what? Fuck all of you. I'm just gonna leave the damn country.
This fucking guy just trying to copy me now, eh?
You have to excuse the language on that, but it is what it is. Yeah, of course, the Alberta guy's always the badass. Jesse says I'll have to go to Canada during the hot summer here. It gets hot up here too in the summer. Well, certain parts of Canada, small areas of this vast country can get subjectively hot for very short periods of time in isolated pockets. So Purdy Alberti, I got to come up with something for a hoodie that says Purdy Alberti on it or something, man. Yeah, the Alberta guy's the guy to hang out with. Yeah, he's the guy you can go and grab a burger and a beer, get yourself maybe a steak. Yeah, go up for Alberta beef steak, man. Get yourself a nice world-renowned Alberta beef. Get yourself some steak and a couple of wobbly pops, and you could just shoot the shit with that fella there, eh, bot? No problem there, eh? Maybe you could go out hunting or fishing after, too. The Alberta guy will always go hunting or fishing with you. For sure, bud. And he'll bring those long neck beers, too. And we say the plural for beer is beers, even though it's technically beer. The plural for beer is beer. One beer, two beer. It's like fish, right? Like the Dr. Seuss. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. One beer, two beer, red beer, blue beer. But we like to say beers. So I'm gonna have like 6 beers tonight there, eh? 6 beers before we even go to the show. 6 beers. That way I only gotta buy 2 at the club there, eh? Hey, bud. Anyway, there you go. I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down. 2.5 hours. I don't think I'd be able to talk that long about a couple of blues songs that make mention of disasters, potential resets. Well, every time there's a bad flood, they're going to reset. The opportunist controllers are going to jump on that like a boll weevil on a cotton boll. So as per usual, thank you very much for joining me here and winding down your weekend with yours truly on this Sunday live show, New West Reset Live, episode 116, Old World and Music, Clues in the Blues. Again, links below for everything, as well as links below for my social media on MeWe and BitChute. Of course, over on the Bumble, thanks to everybody on the Green Fighting platform there. Guys, emails down there as well if you got show ideas, or hey, if you want to get together and have a chat, we could try to make some time to do so. Maybe have you on the New West Reset Chill Chat show. What else is down there? Location map. And, of course, the PayPal for the Maple Glazed Donut Fund there, eh? And, of course, the guy's got to get his pedicure. Actually, joking aside, it goes to the channel. Like this new flashlight that I just picked up. 2,000 lumens. It's Police Security Flashlight Incorporated. But I'm sure the police nor security actually use them. Actually, no, I'm just ripping. It's pretty good. I got it at Canadian Tire there, eh? It's like $70 flashlight. It's got 3 modes. And, you could adjust the aperture on the light and the whole bit. So, yeah, stuff like that. So thank you very much. Thank you. So as per usual, keep your ocular sphericals locked here onto the channel for your vintage footage video coming up Wednesday. Friday, boots on the ground. And we'll see you back here next week, Sunday, for the live show. So thanks again, everyone. Appreciate it. Until the next one, take care out there and have yourselves a good one. All right? Cheers.
It's a mystery! It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma!